Well, hello there, real gamers. Retro Rob here, and we're going to talk a little bit about Microsoft and Xbox and that. I don't do many of these videos, so if I'm horrible at it, I apologize. But let me know if you want to see more of these. I can talk and talk. Let me tell you, I might not be very knowledgeable about what I'm talking about, but I can definitely talk. Here, let me hook that up. There we go. Anyway, um, there's been a lot of speculation about what's going on with Xbox. I've got my own take on it. I'll be talking about it again with my friends at Guys Games and Beer next Tuesday, but we'll know more by then. And I thought I'd just put out some preliminary thoughts, and I'm just wondering if it matches what's gonna happen. Also, if you got your own opinions, hey, let me know down below. I'm gonna start with I've been with Xbox since the beginning. I own the original Xbox. I've owned every generation. I haven't always owned the high end one, but I've owned every generation of Xbox since the beginning. And I've been pretty happy with them. I mean, I've sworn them off before, and I'll go into that a little bit too. But every generation, I've ended up with Xbox. I've decided to stick with Xbox. Part of it's because of family that has Xbox, so we all share the same network that way. Um, and we'll talk about that too. Yeah, so the original Xbox came at a time when I wasn't gaming very much. I think I had like some like knockoff retro thing that I would play occasionally with uh, when I had some free time, but I was not really into gaming anymore. I'd play a little bit on my PC, but just wasn't doing much, and it really brought me back. Specifically, Halo was amazing, and then I started playing Metal Gear Solid, and that was pretty good. I'll also note that I did have a PS2 for some of that time period, but I basically gave it up and sold it once I got a hold of the Xbox. So I really loved the original Xbox. And then I went on to the Xbox 360, which was amazing. I bought a lot of games for it, enjoyed a lot of stuff. It got me into like the Halo 3 community, which to this day, the original like Halo 3 community that I used to play with was one of my favorite communities to play games with. It was just weird and wacky times. People didn't take themselves so seriously. I mean, some people did, but for the most part, it was just people having fun. Like if we were like really winning, you jump in a warthog and like you let the other team drive around and shoot your own team. And people wouldn't get sore about that. You know, it's just part of the game. You're winning by so much, who cares? And just to give them something fun to do. So it was a lot different time as far as how people gamed, and it was more about fun. So I have a lot of good memories about that. How did I not mention the Red Ring of Death? Remember the Red Ring of Death? I had the Xbox One, which that's the beginning of issues, I think, with Xbox. Number one, it's the naming. What is with why call your third device the Xbox One? I know it's a simplistic way of looking at it. I know it means like one, meaning encompassing. It does all things, but why name it that way? It's a very confusing naming convention. And then we had like the One X, and now we're at S and X, and it just seems like get your naming together. Who marketed this stuff? Who did the market testing on this stuff? Thought it was a good idea. I'm absolutely sure that there were confused parents and grandparents all over the place buying the wrong console for Christmas because they didn't know what was what because their branding was ridiculous. So anyway, branding is a problem. It's a minor problem. I get it. Yeah, know your gaming stuff. Yeah, be a real gamer. Blah 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 blah. But the reality is, from just a advertising standpoint, that was a nightmare, a bad idea. I think the next problem they had was the idea that, oh, we're going to be a media device. Now, all game systems are a media device to some level. You can watch movies or whatever on them, but the confused messaging that, hey, now we want to be like, like your DVD player or your Blu-ray player, and we're going to be your game system, started kind of eroding what Xbox was all about, which was gaming. The other thing was I have a hard time believing, and I'm guessing like PlayStation didn't fall into this because probably because they made TVs and knew a bit about them. is that when they're trying to sell like all their streaming and all this media stuff, it was starting to be built into TVs too. So if your TV is your media box, right? And nowadays it plays games as well. I mean, I can directly play games off of my TV, not the one here, but the one in the other room. In fact, I got two TVs. Wait, yeah, two TVs that I could just sync my Xbox controller and play games on it or stream games. So if you're branding yourself as a media device and it's built to the TV, why the heck do you need an Xbox? And it's a branding problem. It's probably cost them. I think another big mistake they made was with the Xbox One. They were talking about like always on gaming, which it again, you can defend it, but the idea that you buy media and you still need to have the game in because of the copy protection is a little bit ridiculous, and it didn't go over well, especially when PlayStation was advertising, hey, you can resell your games with us. You're not going to just register to one. Now, that didn't come to fruition, actually. They didn't do it, but they announced it, which, what the hell, What were they thinking? But anyway, you got that. The always connected idea hurt the Xbox One sales, and now we're on another generation. And another problem I've seen is, the Xbox network seems very flaky to me. No, I probably should have said this at the beginning, but I've had actually each generation, except for this one, of the PlayStation as well. So I've had the PS1, the 2, the 3, and the 4. I haven't had the 5, though. I chose the S instead of that. But, man, the network next to PlayStation's network is terrible. I mean, there's constant multi-day outages. I realize PlayStation had one. But man, the Xbox, it just seems like it's always having problems. And I know there's some regions that have less problems than others, but I'm in Central America, not Central America. I'm the Midwest, roughly. And well, it's no secret. I'm in Wisconsin, and it is terrible. I have good network quality, but not when I'm playing my Xbox. They seem to constantly have outages, and I think that's hurt them as well. I mean, think about things like the Halo launch, where you couldn't play the game online for nearly a month. Think about that. That was a release game, and you couldn't play it for a month. The Master Chief Collection, how terrible. So a lot of those things hurt and lost people over time. Another thing I want to talk about is the way crossplay is handled. Crossplay can be turned off on PlayStation 4 relatively easily. You can do it from the game menu. If you're going to do it on an Xbox, you got to turn it off at the Xbox level. And both I and my wife and my brother-in-law, who we all play together, actually, I think my nieces have had the same problem. If you turn it off, it constantly prompts you. It constantly bothers you. So turning off crossplay isn't an option. I'm a person who plays better with a mouse and a keyboard than I do with a gamepad, but I do play with a gamepad on the Xbox because I just like to lay back and kick back and play. But I don't want to play against I don't want to play against people with a mouse and a keyboard, so I want the option to turn it off. PlayStation makes it easy. Xbox doesn't, and it gets to that point where why am I playing on a why am I playing on the Xbox anyway? I could just play it on the PC, plug a controller in, and play it the same way. So, what am I doing here? And then recently, Microsoft announced, hey, we're not really going to be doing much with the way of exclusives. Now, I think they're going to release them still on Xbox. It sounded like that to me on the announcement, but eventually, you can play it on your PlayStation. So, what are you going to play it on? It doesn't really give you much of a reason to buy the Xbox anymore. I think the only bright spot I really saw is I saw a report. I've only seen it once, so let me know if you've heard more credible stuff about it. But there's a rumor about an Xbox handheld. I don't know if it's going to be like a true Xbox handheld or whether Microsoft's going to be entering the PC handheld market, which is like pretty hot right now. But that might get me to buy an Xbox, you know? I might buy an Xbox handheld. That'd be cool. Yeah, not bad. Um, the whole idea of not having exclusivity, and yeah, I've heard the rumor too that they want to quit producing hardware possibly. When you really look at it, I think they're at like 50% of the sales of the PlayStation 5. So I can understand how that could happen. Um, Xbox is still a strong brand. They could still become like Sega and just market games. They could sell their games as a service. And the other thing is, Microsoft still owns the biggest gaming platform on earth, basically, which is Windows. So they could push that as well. And maybe their handheld's going to be a Windows handheld. Um, I will say that I've heard a couple reports of Microsoft developing a interface for Windows 11. I think it was 11. It might have been 10. That was very specific to handheld gaming, and maybe they're going to develop that, come out with that handheld. I sure as heck could buy it. But right now, I think that their lack of direction and their lack of getting a solid message out there has probably severely hurt Xbox as far as a brand for the considerable future. I don't think there's anything they can say tomorrow that could convince people who bailed on Xbox over the years to come back to them. But I'm a sucker, and I will for handheld. That's it. I want to thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think Microsoft's doing. I honestly, I'm lost. Their messaging's terrible. See ya.